Drumroll, time for another fuckboy of the month. So, this one is going to be about a guy who we're going to call Christopher. And I met Christopher like 3 years ago. I met him at a bar in the East Village in New York City. And it was one of those things where it's like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, pretty drunk. And there's this ocean of men, like just people everywhere, really crowded bar. And in the distance, I see this guy, and I'm just like taken aback by how stunning he is. He kind of looked like the human version of one of those Greek statues, just like tall, not necessarily like insanely muscular, but just a naturally like brawny build. Mediterranean looking, really like chiseled face, really defined jaw, and this big curly thick hair. And I just thought he was beautiful, and I was drunk, and I just didn't give a fuck, and I just went right up to him. And it's funny how sometimes you're so attracted to someone and you just feel like they would never be attracted to you, and then you realize they are attracted to you, and you're like, oh. And that's exactly how it was. And I just started talking to him, and I think he also probably was impressed that this boy just approached him at the bar with confidence and whatever. And we started talking, and he was really nice, and he just didn't fit into the scene. Like, the scene was, this, kind of dingy gay bar in the East Village, and he's this suave, beautiful boy wearing a watch, which I had never seen someone wear, like, a Rolex to such a trashy bar in, this random, like, dive bar. And just well-spoken, kind, likable, and he was very touchy-feely. He was also clearly drunk. And we spoke for like 5 minutes, and he said, look, I have to catch a flight tomorrow really early, but I would like to hang out with you. So as he's saying this, he grabs the receipt, he's signing his bill for the tab he had opened with for his drinks, and he writes his number on it. He rips off that piece and gives it to me. And it's like, who even does that anymore? But I was so charmed by that because it felt very old school to write down your phone number on a piece of paper instead of doing it like everybody else does it, which is just, showing your phone to somebody or exchanging numbers through your phone. So I was kind of like turned on by it. And then the next day I texted him, and I didn't hear back for hours. And finally he got back to me and was like, oh yeah, let's hang out. And then I responded, didn't hear back from him. Days went by, and I was like, this guy seems so cool, like, what's going on? So I reached out again, final time, and he said, oh yeah, when are you free? I responded, never heard back again. So I was like, okay, I'm not reaching out again. This is a fuck boy, like, whatever. Months go by, like 3 or 4 months go by. Now it's autumn in New York City, and I go to another gay bar in the East Village of Manhattan. I see this beautiful boy. I'm like, he looks familiar, and I think, is that the same guy? But he just looked slightly different. This time, this guy had a full-on beard. He also just seemed not as, if I can say, physically impressive as he was the first time. And maybe it was just like a summer tan, who knows. But he just looked a little different. Still very attractive, but I was like, I'm not sure that this is the same guy. He didn't have the watch this time. I started conversing with his friends somehow, and then we started talking. And while I was talking to him, I was trying to figure out, is this the same guy? And I couldn't figure it out. And so I would drop little hints. Like, I think I said, I believe we've met previously. And he was like, have we? He couldn't quite remember. And then, I said, do you wear a Rolex watch? And he's like, no. And so I was convinced it wasn't the same guy. But as we kept talking, it became quite obvious that it was, in fact, him. Just random little things like where he lived, the neighborhood that he lived in, and his job, and things he had told me, I think, about his siblings or something like that. And so we keep talking, and then it was that thing where his friends could see that there was a chemistry building, so they kind of deserted us and did their own thing at the bar. But we kept talking, and the conversation was just so easy and smooth, and he was so nice and charming and smart, and we talked about travel, we talked about things to do in New York City, and we just clicked. And it was one of those things where you meet somebody at a bar, and it's very rare for me. I've only had that experience 3-4 times where I've met somebody out of nowhere, where there's just an instant chemistry and like a spark, and it just works, and it's there, and it's undeniable, and both parties are interested, and it's such a beautiful feeling when that happens. But it has never happened to me other than this guy. It has never happened to me with someone who's actually around my age. It's usually a much older guy, because I tend to like men who are very mature and have their shit together, and you know, men who speak a certain way, who are educated. And so that's very rare for me, to meet somebody around my age who is still intellectually stimulating and is still mature and all those things. So we keep talking, and it's now getting very flirtatious, and we spent like hours talking at this bar. And he said, you know, are you single? And I said, I am. And he said, okay, cool, me too. And, you know, I said, what happened when we spoke 3 months ago? Like, you just kind of disappeared. And he said, I just wasn't ready. I had just gotten out of a relationship. I wanted to get to know you, but it wasn't the right timing, blah, blah, blah. And me flirtatiously, I said something like, you know, are you ready this time to get to know somebody? And he was really into it. He was like, absolutely, I want to get to know you, blah, you know, all the things that they always say. And so that night, interestingly, I made a separate video about this, but this was the same time period that I was on a vow of celibacy. And so I wanted to respect that. I was taking it seriously, and also I just really liked him. So I wanted to get to know him. I didn't want to turn him into a hookup. I didn't want to objectify him. I didn't want him to objectify me. But he kept saying like, come home with me. And I was like, no, no, no. And I was also pretty drunk. And I said, no, like, we'll hang out again. We'll see each other again. And he kept trying, but very respectfully so. And I said no. And then we walk out again. I've been drinking. And we walk like a block or so. And he picks me up and dashes through this caution tape, whatever it's called, to a place that clearly we're not supposed to go through. And it's such like this vivid memory in my mind. Like, this guy's a total stranger. Just picked me up off the ground. I don't know him. And yet there was something so exhilarating about that moment. Like, just being young in your 20s, it's 2 a.m, 3 a.m, you're with a guy that you feel something with. And you just have this moment that like only young people do. Anyway, I was just really digging this guy, and we walk a few blocks, and suddenly I'm like, I really need to pee, like really, really need to pee. And for people who know the geography of the landscape of Manhattan, at the time I lived in Harlem, New York, which is way uptown. He lived in the West Village, which is a 5-minute cab ride from where we were. And so he says, just come home with me. You can pee at my place. And I'm like, oh, like, I don't want to spend the night with him because I don't want to give him the wrong idea, but I really, really have to pee, and I'm also intoxicated. And I was like, fine, I'm coming home with you. We went home, and I have to tell you, nothing scandalous happened. He was so respectful, but it was, to be honest, probably the most erotic night I've ever had with somebody. Just such physical attraction, such chemistry, and passion, but still like a gentleness between each other and a respect. So nothing really happened. It was just like a hardcore makeout session with this like total hottie. You know, he wanted to do more, but I was like, no, 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 no. Anyway, it was a fun, sexy night, and we talked all night in bed and cuddled and all those great things. And it was so clear to me that this guy was special and was somebody I was going to get to know, and I was so excited to get to know him. And I would say that to him. I was like, I can't wait to get to know more about you, like in a normal setting, sober and everything. And he seemed totally into it. And again, very playful, like he carried me to the couch and we cuddled and kissed there more. And I was just charmed by this guy who is like in his late 20s, has his life totally figured out. He lives in this beautiful West Village apartment on what I think is the prettiest street in all of the West Village. If anybody knows that area, you know that that's like the most glamorous part of Manhattan. It's extremely expensive real estate. So I'm just looking at this guy like, how have you made all this happen for yourself at such a young age that you have the top floor of this apartment, you are so well traveled at this age, and you're just like he just had like a star persona. And I remember this was like the week before Thanksgiving, and he was like, I really want to see you. Are you around for Thanksgiving? And I said no, but how about the weekend right after Thanksgiving? Maybe we can hang out. And so we made kind of like tentative casual plans to hang out again, to get a drink, whatever. For the next 3 weeks, it's that typical experience that I had when I lived in New York City of just the nonstop texting, where there's this flirtatiousness and this correspondence, and it's cute, and it's, you know, you get butterflies, but even then, being, I guess, 24, however old I was, it was so frustrating to me, because it's like, this is gonna fade, this spark, if you don't try to build a chemistry over again in person, right? And he ended up bailing last minute about the weekend after Thanksgiving, and then one night he texted me really late on a weeknight. I was in bed and wanted to get a drink, and I was like, I'm in bed, like, you know. And other than that, he didn't really make a move. One day, I just kind of like flipped out, and I was being flippant. I wasn't like, mean or anything, but I said, let's cut the middle school bullshit out, and let's just like meet each other in person. This is silly. I'm not looking for a pen pal. Let's just meet up. And something in my tone, something in the delivery just rubbed him the wrong way. And he was like, look, this is all I can give you right now. Which was like so jarring to me, that this guy, uber successful guy who lives in the West Village and has his shit together and seemed so mature and kind and smart, I didn't understand how he had this like hang up about meeting again. And the more I kind of tried to figure out what was going on, it became clear that he had some kind of like anxiety issues that, once intoxicated, I guess disappeared, I suppose. But he was basically like, look, I'm not ready for more, and the truth is a hookup is like much easier for me, but I didn't want to turn you into a hookup. I knew you weren't looking for that, and I just don't feel comfortable right now going on a date. I'd be too anxious, I'd be too in my head, I'm still not over the way my relationship ended, all this stuff that a part of me was sympathetic to, and another part of me was like, just meet me halfway, like just take a chance. Maybe that's the romantic in me, but I will never understand that mentality of just giving in or giving up when you are faced with an amazing job opportunity, an amazing travel opportunity, an amazing person to get to know. It's just so not like me to not jump in both feet first. So when I meet somebody who's not like that and who is easily scared off, it's a turn off for me, and I also just don't understand it. When I tell you that I've never been charmed by a guy like this guy charmed me in terms of his personality, and I'll admit there was a physicality to it too. I don't think I've ever been so physically, innately, just naturally, organically attracted to somebody this way. There was that, but it was also his personality, the mystique about him. So I did that thing where every few months I would check in with him and see how he was doing, and hoping desperately that something in him would spark a change and he'd finally want to get to know me. And it was weird because he would always respond really quickly, like within minutes. And there'd be a slight flirtatiousness, but it was clear that I had completely closed that door, or that he had closed that door on me. Finally, one time I reached out and we talked actually for like an hour back and forth. And I said something like, it's nice talking to you again. Like, this reminds me of when we met in person, and it's just nice. And he responded something like, I agree, but I have to be honest with you, I'm dating somebody. And of course that was like, anytime you're pursuing somebody or trying to pursue somebody and then you find out they've chosen somebody else after you've made all this effort and they didn't meet you halfway, it's like, you might as well like bitch slap me across the face.
You know what? I am, however, gonna slap your
And even like months before I left New York City, I was in his neighborhood and I thought of him and I reached out, and again he responded, but it was like just clear that he didn't have the emotional maturity or the emotional capacity to like meet me halfway, even though I could tell the attraction was real in person and that he saw that I was somebody unique in the way that I saw that he was somebody unique as well. But I look back at that situation and, hindsight is 20/20. I do think sometimes I come off too intense for people, And this was a situation where I probably, based on how gentle he was, I probably should have acted differently. But at the same time, I know a fuckboy when I see one. And the good thing about negative dating experiences is that now I always know what I'm not willing to tolerate. I'm not willing to tolerate a pen pal at this point. I've gone through the experience too many times of having a chemistry with a guy, whether I had only met him once or whether I never met him and it was through an app, and then the guy disappearing or acting weird after weeks or even months of talking. I'm just not willing to go that route anymore. It's been a very frustrating and it's been a very aggravating thing for me that repeatedly this kind of fuckboy has appeared in my life where they just don't meet me halfway. They won't even meet me in person, even though I know they're attracted, I know there's something there. And I don't know if that's a gay thing, I don't know if that's a man in New York City thing. Obviously I left New York City for a lot of reasons, and this was one of them, just the frustrations with dating. I just didn't want to put up with the same stuff anymore. And I still don't know what the reality is. The good part is that I know, the moral of the story is that I know what I'm not willing to put up with at this point, at this stage, finishing up my 20s. And if that means that I'm going to be alone and single for a much longer time, then so be it, because I'd rather do that than start to invest in someone and a connection emotionally just to be disappointed again because they can't meet me 50% of the way there. Tell me what you thought about this fuckboy of the month. I know it was a bit lengthier than usual, but hopefully you were able to bear with me. See ya.